That's what I was waiting for.
I think going forward, just everyone needs to end with a and you'll be happy, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'm not that complex, you know.
I
like the simple things in life.
Yeah.
And those little things that are what make me happy.
I'm pulling your layers apart, you know.
Just like
unwrapping
that,
you.
Just like that pointer. You're unraveling all my magic tricks.
Yeah, you know, I was impressed with you, and now that I've
now
learned
like,
how it's done, how you work, it's, you know, I don't know. I might be looking for a new. If anybody out there has a personality that they think would be good on the podcast, you know. I mean, at the very least, there, you know, Mark's sitting on like a love seat, and if you don't mind, you could sit next to him, and
no,
you know, we could have a panel.
I'm a one-man show, bro. All right, I don't like to be shared, and that's why I'm very selfish when it comes to orgies.
You're selfish in orgies?
Yep. Yeah.
How do you be selfish in an orgy?
Well, you know, I'm like, well, that guy's gotten 2 turns. Fuck him. Time for me to get a 3rd turn.
Okay, I see.
You know.
Yeah, because I've never been
kind
in
of
an orgy,
whore.
so I thought that was all about sharing. So
yeah. Well, I'm kind of an attention whore. So.
Well, I think that we both are, and I think that just the very
notion.
Yeah.
We have a podcast.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, listen to my ideas. They're amazing.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So,
every time I hear that song, I think of this other song. I think like maybe somebody had it as a ringtone or something, and it's like, I'm labeled as a bad character no matter what I do. That's all I could think of.
Huh.
I know it's
not strong lyrically. Speaking of not strong lyrically, did you hear about that guy who's like a rapper, quote unquote, who cut his dick off and then jumped off of a balcony to commit suicide, but I believe he survived.
Oh, that sucks, dude, because now he doesn't have a dick.
Right?
And now you're crazy.
Yeah.
You tried to kill yourself, so it's like a double whammy.
Yeah, but it's just like, how are you going to, you know, why would you cut your dick off and then jump off a balcony?
Well, you can't cut your dick off afterwards, you know.
Well, but why cut your dick off at all? Like, I'm just thinking, like, I don't know. Like, and they...
Maybe he has AIDS. Maybe he has AIDS and doesn't want to give it to anyone, and he's just like super depressed. Like,
so he cut his dick off, and then he's just like, oh my god, I've made a horrible mistake. I can't live without this thing, and then just tried to end it.
Yeah. So that song is Quasimodo, bro.
Quasimodo, bro?
Yeah. No, sorry. Quasimodo. And it's called Bad Character. No matter what I do, I'm labeled as a bad character. I'm labeled as a bad character no matter what I do.
Quasimodo come on feet or
Just Quasimodo, man. You never heard of Quasimodo?
No.
Oh, dude. My old high school buddies have like a following of Quasimodo. He's actually pretty badass. I think you'd like him.
Yeah?
Rap, you know.
I'm tempted. Talk about something while I try to find him.
Well, Quasimodo is interesting because it's this rapper that's got like dual personalities, you know? So he's got his like rapper personality, but he also has his like alter ego Quasimodo.
This says Madlib alter ego Quasimodo. Otis Jackson Jr., professionally known as Madlib. That's the first thing that comes up if you Google Quasimodo.
Oh, well, I just typed in bad character. Anyway.
Bad character.
Yeah, you should play that shit. I'm always looking into some girl's dress with the vest, cause some ducks wanna put me to rest. Now I'm a soldier in the town drinking butterfly snapple. I walk around the streets passing out poison apples. Oh shit, he's dead. Now it's time to skip town. I know who it was.
Yeah? Is this the joint?
Yeah, check it out. Public enemy #1. Lord Quasim on the set. Word back. Bad character you see up on the screen.
Unjust, sinful, vicious. Guess who's a new bad character in town? Causing mischief in your...
So, you know how he has like a high-pitched voice? That's his alter ego. And then he does like rap battles with his like high-pitched voice. And then he comes back and like... It's kind of cool.
You know,
his voice gets kind of annoying. It kind of sounds like Aqua Teen.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. It's the fucking cow that raps or whatever on Aqua Teen and sucks. It's just like, yeah. That's what it reminds me of. I'm
all right. Well, you know, I don't know. He makes it up, so it's kind of cool. It gives him his own personal style. So making up his own character is kind of interesting.
Sure. I mean, I think most good rap Like, for instance, this past, 2 weekends ago, went and saw Deltron 3030.
Yeah, dude.
And,
That looked legit.
it's an ego, an alter ego. It's a concept album / group that I really like.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I dig the idea, the concept, but as far as that voice goes,
No, you weren't.
no.
Yeah,
I mean,
you
it's
checked out pretty quick too.
Yeah, well, because that's how annoying that is to me. It's just like no. And honestly, I'm not gonna say that like everything that that I don't like sucks or anything like that, but I have a pretty good sense of like when I hear a song and I'm like, yeah, I can see why that's popular because it sounds good or it's got a hook or whatever. Like there are very few things that I'm like, oh, I fucking love this. Nobody understands. At the very most, it's just kind of like, yeah, this could be popular with the right push behind it, the right people behind it. This could be big.
Yeah.
I don't know. That'll never be big because
I never got into it, but
annoying.
I like the rap, and like
sure.
the regular rapper is really good. But I have some high school buddies that fucking love that shit, dude. They're always like laying down rhymes and talking about Lord Quasi and shit like that. So
Lord Quasi. I mean, that's the thing though is like there have been artists that I really like. But then, sometimes, like, their voice evolves. Like, I think Eminem is, like, a good example of it. Is like, his voice kind of changed a little bit. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, he raps about exactly the same shit. So that's also the problem, is, like, his raps are very repetitive in my mind. I know this is, like, blasphemy to some people, but I think a lot of his stuff is really repetitive sounding. And his voice has just gotten, like, harsher and not that good. Like, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work at all. And in my mind, and not to say that he's not successful or anything, but I think his best stuff was his earliest stuff. And as he goes on, it just kind of gets rehashed and his voice gets shittier and his beats are not that cool anymore. And I don't know. And there's been plenty of artists that I like where, there's a period in time where, I don't know, they might be like fucked up on pain pills or something like that. Or like, and their voice changes or they get with a different producer or on a different label, like a hip hop group that I really like. That happened to. There are like 2 albums in the middle of about 5 albums that just fucking suck because one of the guys in the group, they got on a different label and they just treated his words differently.
I think you need to drop the name.
Swollen Members.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
Mad
Child? Or?
Yeah, Mad Child. Yeah. Like there was a time when they were on Suburban Noise and it fucking sucked. His voice was annoying and, lyrically it was kind of shittier because he was like fucked up a lot of it. But I don't know. They have a new album out like today or probably
Dude, those guys
yesterday
are old
or
as
something.
Fuck, man. Like
Dude,
they were like
right?
late 40s or like for like rappers, that's old,
I mean, not really.
Yeah.
They're
Snoop Dogg's in his 40s, right?
I think Snoop Dogg's way older.
Yeah, he's like still smoking mad weed.
Let me find out how old Snoop Dogg is. Snoop Dogg is gotta be. I'm gonna guess 51.
Really? Shit, dude, that's way old.
I mean, he looks like shit, but black don't crack.
That's true.
Let's
God,
see.
black people age well. You lucky bastards.
Yeah, but if you're ugly, then you'll stay ugly your entire life. So
Well,
that's not cool.
The thing is that black people or black men are also very charming. At least that's been my experience.
Sure. I mean, I don't know.
You don't get serenaded by a black man every now and then?
No, I mean, I don't know. I think anybody can be charming. I think black people tend to be able to be more forward, kind of like, like a little more sultry. I don't know.
All that soul food.
Shit, I can't do math. He's born in 1971, so that makes him what,
43.
Okay, so you were much closer.
Yeah.
I think you kind of look old, but whatever. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, Pointer. Check
it out, people. Pointer.com. It's a good
You can
way
be
to
entertained
spend
for
about 63
30
seconds.
Anywhere from like 30 to... Oh, there's a Nixon watch in that one.
Ooh.
30 to 45 seconds.
You're still entertained.
Kind of. I mean, you want to see all the pictures,
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, you have
So, Steve, how often do you like to just make stuff up?
Makes...
You ever like find yourself in a social situation and all eyes are on you, and you just kind of make something up, and then you just kind of start rolling with it?
That's all I do at work.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Once upon a time, there was this girl I was seeing, and she's like, "Do you ever just like to make stuff up?" I'm like, I don't really try that hard, And she's like, "Oh, sometimes I just like to make stuff up," and which kind of reminded me of Garden State.
What's this girl's name?
I'd rather not say.
Yeah, you don't have to say. Is she hot? Does she want my number?
I don't know.
Does she want to make some stuff up with me?
She was quite a handful in the bedroom.
Oh, well then now I don't want her.
Damn it. Oh.
I mean, not because she's a handful, but because, if you were with her,
You don't want to be Eskimo brothers, do you?
No.
No.
I've
got plenty of Eskimo brothers.
I mean, the thing is like...
we probably already are, we just don't know it.
Probably. The idea doesn't bother me, but like, for you to arrange, in that situation, like if I met somebody outside of this or just independently of you, and it happened to be that you were with her at some point, that would not bother me.
Okay.
But what would bother me is it's like, oh, what's this chick about? And you're like, yeah, totally. Oh, and she's great in the sack, by the way. Here's her number. That's
pretty sleazebag.
It's just gross to me. Like, I don't know that.
Fair enough.
And not to like say
I wouldn't do that.
That she would be gross, but it's just like, I don't want that to be the relationship that we have.
Okay.
Me
and you, or you and her?
You and me.
Oh.
Like, I don't want to be like, I don't know, like, she's so good, you must have her. Like, it's just so creepy.
It's kind of gross.
Yeah, it's way gross.
But whatever, it's sexuality anyway. Anywho, she really liked to make stuff up. And have you seen Garden State with
Zach Braff?
Zach Braff and Natalie Portman?
Yeah, I have, but I haven't seen it recently, so you'll have to remind me.
Well, she would just blatantly lie because she was like a pathological liar.
Okay, well, that's not what I was talking about, because what I was talking about is like this dude that I work with, Robert, and I, like, we'll just like make shit up. Like, we just kind of play off each other. Like, it's just like, I don't know, like we talk about eating turtles and like different foods, and then we'll make up different, I don't know, it's really hard to explain.
No,
it's
fun
more
at the
situational
moment.
Yeah, it's very situational. It's just kind of like just bullshitting, making stuff up, just trying to entertain one another, be funny, think of, a lot of it is kind of one of those things like where a lot of times I'll think of like a scenario and like play it through as if it's a movie, and I'll be like, and then this would happen, and then so like people know exactly that I'm just like bullshitting, and they're just kind of like, yeah, that would be weird, and I'm like, oh, and then this would happen in this situation. So I'm thinking of it almost as like I'm writing a movie, but I'm kind of telling you about it. And some, a lot of times people are just like, what the fuck, because like I don't think they think like that. They don't want to, or they don't. I don't know. So,
but I think it takes the right person in the right kind of social situation in order to be kind of spontaneous and in a moment like that. Because I kind of enjoy making stuff up because it keeps me on my toes.
Yeah.
And it makes the interaction that much more entertaining.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. As kind of maybe shallow or weird as it sounds, I do like to make stuff up. It's a little bit more entertaining, and it makes the interaction a little
So
more
are you
fun.
saying that, you'll meet somebody that you don't know and then just basically lie to them? Is that what you're saying?
No, because I'm not that desperate to impress anyone. So I'm not going to say, well, like, I own a Ferrari, and I'm the CEO of, a giant dildo company,
If you were the CEO of a giant dildo company, that would be so funny.
I started off by making impressions of myself.
Wouldn't it be?
And it just kind of exploded after that.
No
pun intended.
What do you... I mean... wouldn't that be kind of weird? Like, I kind of want to make like a dildo of, one of those like cast dildos of myself, so that way I could like come at a girl with like two me's. It's just like, oh my god, It's just like, is that, like you're a dildo, or like give it as like a parting gift, like, like
you
the
break
day
up with someone.
No, just like the day after or something, like, you hook up with someone and you're just like, here you go. And you give them like a gift bag, and it's just like, don't open it until you get home. There's like, I don't know, it would have like a bunch of that like Easter basket bullshit in there.
Sure.
There'd be like some candy. There might be like a coupon for like a massage, or like a mani-pedi or something like that. And then, I don't know, maybe there'd be like a bottle of like, average range champagne or something like that. Just something nice. And then at the bottom, there's like a wooden box, like finely crafted,
Of course.
clearly handmade, very nice. Open it up, like red velvet inside, and then just like, boom, big old dick. And it's like, just, I don't know, like, I don't know that my dick has like a very distinct look necessarily. So maybe on the top of the lid, there would be like a photo of my dick so that you could see like the immediate comparison, just be like, there's like veins in all the right places.
Sure.
And you're just like, oh. And it would be like a photo to scale. So like when you take the photo, you edit it and crop it in Photoshop or whatever, so that it, like when it prints, it's the exact size.
Okay.
And then that way, so it's just like, boom, my dick. And it's just like, I'm giving you my dick. Except this one has like a suction cup, so they can put it on the wall and fuck themselves in the shower, like just boom.
Steve, do they make a box big enough?
I mean, that's why it's handmade, right?
So is this for every girl that you hook up with, or is this for like?
Yeah,
is this for like the one?
No, it's like, okay, so I'm imagining.
Sorry,
Careful,
I'm getting a little too excited. Right?
I'm right. Stop being so excited about my dick.
Anywho.
So I'm imagining that there would be like varying gift bags. So there'd be some that it would be like maybe just the dick. There would be others that have the mani-pedi, massage, champagne, all the good stuff. So it'd be like, it'd be more of like a,
depending on how well she performed the night before.
Not even like a
how
performance.
interesting she is.
Yeah, it would just be kind of like a, you're special, so you get more. This person maybe not as special, so you get,
But the default gift is always your dick.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just the baseline.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't know what I've never made like a mold of my own dick or anything, but maybe there's like different qualities, maybe one is like
Sandpaper.
No, I mean, like maybe one's like, maybe they have like deluxe kits that's like a better feel,
All right.
I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. I mean, I've handled my fair share of sex toys, but I don't necessarily, and some are clearly better than others, but like I don't really know what makes a good dildo.
Sure.
I assume that like you want, I don't know. I imagine the more lifelike, the better.
I don't use them, so.
You don't?
No.
Never, never once?
Never once.
No, never?
No.
Just get a little curious, maybe see what it's like to get banged?
No. Yeah, it'll take a special woman to.
You know what? I feel like. Yeah. I don't know, because like I've heard plenty of people who talk about that, like it's like awesome and it's super cool. I
so
can't
says
really,
the internet.
Yeah, like a lot of people say it's cool, and I don't know. I just can't imagine being into it.
Yeah, well,
but then again, if the right girl came along and she was like, I really want to jam you, I would definitely consider it. I don't know that I would agree to it, but I would consider it.
Yeah. I don't know. We were actually talking about this with some of the engineers and some of the prettier engineers. And they're like, well, it's Wednesday. That means it's fisting night, isn't it? No.
Fisting night?
Yeah. But she wasn't having any of that.
Yeah. I think it takes a special kind of lady to
most
be
definitely.
into fisting.
Yeah. No. On her boyfriend.
Oh, really? She's going to bang her boyfriend's butt with her fist?
She was a tiny girl. But she was saying that he's not into it, and she was kind of disappointed about that. So.
Was she really disappointed, or was she just trying to be one of the boys?
I think she was trying to be one of the boys, but she was also saying that he wasn't into it, and she's like, yeah, well, I tried to before, but he just kind of gets squeamish about it.
I mean, a fist, even on a tiny girl, that's a leap.
No, it wasn't just about fisting. I think that's the extreme.
Oh, she wanted to play with his butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, in what way though? Like, was she like wanting to like eat his butt, or like finger it, or all of the above?
This is quite the smut episode.
Well, I mean, I'm just curious because like.
And these are all the questions that we were asking her, because it's always great to hear what a woman wants to do.
Can she come on the podcast? I want to ask her questions.
You'd really like her. She's really hot.
Yeah. Well, I want to ask her. I mean, that regardless, she could just be the. She could look like Oscar the Grouch, and I would want to ask her about it because I'm curious about girls who are like a little kinkier. Like, I just kind of want to understand, because I think a lot of girls are too afraid to talk about that kind of
I think
stuff.
they're
Like,
kind of tentative to talk about it, but if you're kind of in the moment, then they're
Right.
going to be like bloop, and they kind of want to just
Yeah.
surprise you.
Well, and I think it's hard to get girls to open up about that, especially if you're romantically involved with them because they're afraid that they might like blow it or whatever. If they tell you that they want to finger you or eat your ass or something like that, or that you'll think they're gross. And I mean, I think that's awesome. Like, let's fucking try it. I don't know. Like, I mean,
Steve likes to party.
I mean, yeah. I mean, the thing is like, I wouldn't want some girl to just like, I would want time to prep,
Oh no,
Like,
most
I
definitely.
don't want, and obviously I think they would appreciate the exchange, but I don't know. Eating ass is like one of those things that you just don't do on a whim.
No, unless you go on Craigslist.
But I mean, like, there's preparation involved. One thing doesn't lead to another, and then you're eating your ass, unless it's like that. I mean, that's a gross situation.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be involved with someone who just jumps right into that, because that's a dirty mouth, and that's not the kind of mouth I want near myself.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right, let's kind of circle back.
All right, circling back.
Backtrack.
Where were we before I?
Well, we were talking
Okay,
about
we were talking
stuff
about
up.
making stuff up, and then I went off on a tangent making stuff up. So
Making stuff up. See,
case in point.
Yeah, and that's why I think it's kind of a great thing to make shit up. And
Yeah, it's fun.
every good story is something that was made up.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Which brings me to
Basically a poet and a writer of words with mouth. I'm mouth writing. Mouth writing stories for your ears.
Exactly.
Fucking your ear holes with my mouth stories.
Oh my god. With the delicious jelly that is my voice.
Wait, I'm fucking your ear with mouth jelly?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't even know what that is.
I don't either.
All right, bye, listeners. No one's listening.
Right.
We're free to do anything.
Yeah, and 25 minutes in and nobody's listening. Cool.
Yeah, like any other podcast.
Sure.
Anyway, so I want to go from here and talking about making stuff up. It's the way that we're able to bond with each other. Making stuff up is kind of
You
like
and
a way.
me bond with each other, or just in
In general.
Okay.
When people are kind of thinking on their toes or being challenged.
Right.
So you're trying to entertain someone. Automatically, by making something up, you're trying to impress someone. And I think that's really great. So when I am able to sense someone kind of, really pushing the limits, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely noticed that, like, when you make stuff up or just kind of like go off on some tangent or whatever and be like, what do you think of that? When they don't engage you back, it's kind of, there's, I don't know about that, or that's weird, which is kind of like a negative response.
Yeah,
and
if
then
they
there's
don't
like
reciprocate
and then
or
there's
try
like
to add to the conversation.
Yeah, and then there's just the kind of the looking at you and, being moved by your words. It's like a neutral response.
Yeah.
And then there's people who want to like get back into it and engage. And I don't know, I find that everybody I know that is like, that I would consider a friend or something like that, is someone that engages with me on those sort of things. So I'll be talking like that, and then they're like, oh yeah, and like you become fast friends that way.
No, totally.
And I mean, that's probably just how I socialize, but yeah.
And I think it's great because you're able to filter out people that are interesting from those that aren't.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't
like
hang
think in a way and interact with someone in a lighthearted way that you're able to just kind of be spontaneous and in the moment, then I don't want to hang out with you. You know?
And I mean, I think more and more, maybe because, I don't know, maybe because I'm getting older and more jaded with the reality of life, or maybe because like I'm seeking more creative outlets in more ways, that's more and more important to me.
No, totally.
Just kind of riffing and just coming up with bullshit.
Yeah. So I don't know, I was thinking about making stuff up and, how entertaining it is when you're talking to someone. And I guess it made me start thinking about science fiction. And how that's like my favorite way of, reading books, watching movies. short stories or anything. That's one of my favorite ways.
Erotic fan fiction.
Yeah, and especially when there's like science fiction going on. When it's like alien
Erotic
sluts from planet
Oh,
Venus 4.
Erotic science fiction.
Well,
That's
yeah.
like a whole genre, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
totally. But what are some of your favorite science fiction movies?
I mean, Star Wars, the original Star Wars.
Classics, yeah.
Let's see.
But I think that just goes to show you that science fiction is one of the most popular genres.
For sure. I mean, there's, Star Trek, like TNG stuff, Next
TNG?
Generation.
Oh, yeah. Those are my favorite, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the show, not the movies, they just botched every single one of them.
Really?
Like, they're entertaining enough, but they're so flawed. Like, I don't know. You know how critical I am about movies,
Sure.
and I don't get that critical about shows. But at the same time, like, the show was written in a way that was actually better than a lot of the movies. I think a lot of times the movies ended up kind of missing the mark and even contradicting some of the ideas and values.
Yeah, the movies
that
were never
in...
as captivating as a show.
Well, and because they totally fucked them up. Like, I saw this review, and it really encapsulated kind of the where the movies go wrong. Like, there was one of the movies where they go and there's like radiation that makes people young or some shit like that, and they have to, I don't know, they do something with it.
Okay.
And basically there's these people that are on the planet, and they have to they're fighting to keep them on there from these other people that used to be from the planet that are not, and whatever. Anyway, the whole kind of moral is like, this is their planet, so they get to keep it, and we're going to help them. But there was like an episode that was basically the exact same thing, except there were like these aliens that lived on the planet, and the Federation kind of went in and was just like, look, this radiation shit that's making everybody healthy and young, this like fountain of youth, could help billions of people, so it's selfish for you to keep this planet, you should leave.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they have the movie, they like did the exact opposite, and it was just so, I don't know, like the review does a better job of explaining why, but I mean, you can really see the I don't know, the show is just written better because because every episode, well, maybe not every episode,
the shows are more like succinct.
Well, they kind of came up with like a moral of the story, and then they wrote the story around it. So there's like an idea and like a moral and a value and kind of this idea of how the future would be a better place.
It's just that movies
and then
are
they wrote it
harder.
around it. But then, well, I don't think they're harder. I just think that they try to appeal to a different audience.
Huh.
So instead of appealing, I think the show, why it's more of like a cult phenomenon is because it's really good, but it doesn't appeal to everybody. It appeals to a certain
nerd
type of people, yeah, or just people who are thinking about it, and then the movie, they're trying to get box office dollars. Like, there's a whole kind of Hollywood machine behind it.
Yeah, you want to appeal to a wider range.
Yeah, and it just kind of like jumps into the typical, well, it's this kind of movie. It's this, but like in space,
Yeah.
And so they did that with it and just kind of ruined it.
You talking about Star Trek like that just makes me appreciate Futurama so much more, because I'm a strong believer that Futurama is the Star Trek of our generation. Yes. Anyway,
I've always kind of like, sure, there's like moments in Futurama or whatever that I liked, but
like
I never,
every one of them.
I don't know. I really don't think it was that good. And I mean, basically they had 1 or 2 seasons of it that they replayed for like 12 years before they started making new ones, and then they made new ones and nobody gives a fuck about them. It's just whatever.
I do. I love that show.
Yeah.
Anywho, what other favorite kind of science fiction-y movies do you like?
I like, let's see. I mean, there's so many that I could I mean, I like different ones for different reasons. Like, have you ever seen Starship Troopers?
I've seen parts of it, yeah.
Like, it's such
It's
a piece of
ridiculous,
shit movie,
yeah.
but it's like such a spoof, like it's intentionally bad in the way that it's good. I don't know. I like that. I don't know. I would put certain other movies, like in the science fiction realm, like Like I recently saw the new Captain America movie.
Yeah, totally.
I thought that was awesome. I was fully entertained the whole time. There, you know, and I'm a tough critic on certain
But it was
things
good.
where it's like, why the fuck would that?
Did you like the
But
first one?
the first Captain America?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Okay.
I think this one was much better.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And I liked the Avengers movie, you know. That was really good.
What about that Pacific Rim one? I know you like that one a lot.
I liked Pacific Rim in general, but there were a handful of things that I was just like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. This is so distracting. Why would you do that? Mostly it had to do with certain characters by like how they were played or who they were played by. And then just, you know, like there were just certain things where it's just like you can control a big ass fucking robot, but you need two people, otherwise it like just it's very.
I'm gonna come
thin,
clean to you.
It's very thinly veiled bullshit. Like it's just like you could have written it better and gotten the same objective. Because I mean, the objective is to make it a movie about teamwork, which I love that. That's so rare. It's such a good concept for today's world because it's a very individualistic world, and I think that a teamwork movie is wonderful. I love the idea. I love that they did that. I just think they could have done it in a way that was less clumsy. I'm not exactly sure, but if you were spending that much money doing a whole movie, I think if you gave me a week to come up with a better plot device to make teamwork mandatory, I could do it.
I'm gonna come clean. I was watching it last week because it got released on HBO, and I watched it like twice. But I'm like, after the second time, I'm like, man, it's just kind of losing its factor for me.
Yeah.
And maybe just because I was like such a little like fanboy over it initially. I'm like, oh man, this is the coolest thing ever, giant robots, and it's
yeah,
like,
the visual effects are like overwhelmingly
not just the visual
interesting.
effects, but the whole idea of it, of the world coming together and utilizing all of its resources to fight these aliens.
Teamwork.
America. Oh,
Well, just
yeah.
teamwork.
Well,
World teamwork. See, it goes beyond America.
But
That's
who
what's
won?
great about it.
Who defeated the aliens?
Well,
It was
white people.
America. Anyway,
fucking what's his face with his weird ass walk? Why does he have to do that?
Because he has robot cancer.
No, he's like gotta walk like an asshole. Like I don't know. It's just like
Oh,
fuck you.
you mean the white guy?
Yeah,
the lead
what's
character?
his face? Yeah,
I don't even know
he's
his
like
name.
in Sons of Anarchy or whatever.
Is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and that's the thing is like in Sons of Anarchy,
And he has like the douche voice.
Yeah, he was exactly.
We need to defeat the
Yeah,
aliens.
he was. I thought he acted like that in Sons of Anarchy because that was just the character.
Yeah.
And I was like, it works for like the motorcycle dickhead movie or show or whatever.
Yeah.
But then in the movie, it's just like, why are you the exact same fucking character? This is a whole different thing.
He's a one-trick magic pony.
Yeah, but it's like not that magical of a trick to begin with. So I don't know.
One of my favorite sci-fi movies is 12 Monkeys. You heard of it?
Yeah, it's like Brad Pitt's in it.
Bruce Willis.
I haven't seen it in a long time, and I remember nothing about it.
It's really good.
Except for the cover of it. I remember seeing the cover. They're like the cover art. There's like the guy with the little seal in his eye.
Yeah, it instigated some controversy. The set designer stole some architectural ideas from Lebbeus Woods and never gave him any credit for it. So he ended up pressing charges.
How can they be sure that they were stolen?
Because it was exact replica.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
That's lazy.
No, 12 Monkeys, but it was a great movie. It's based off of Les Ch'tis, if you recall viewing that in studio.
Maybe.
Yes.
I'm sure if I saw it, I would remember. I don't know.
See,
a lot of times a foreign word doesn't, if I don't know what it means, it doesn't actually mean anything to me, so it just kind of like there's no memory. Well, there's no memory attached to the name, but if you were to put like a picture to it, I'd be like, oh, that.
Oh, I still remember it. Anyway.
Well, I don't remember the name.
2001, A Space Odyssey.
Sure.
That one's freaking awesome, dude. It's just awesome in multiple levels, like.
Yeah, I mean it's a little slow, but
no, it's totally slow. But
it's epically I think the best thing going for that is just the way you can be kind of fully immersed into it and how the I mean, just the cinematography is just striking.
It's epic. Stanley Kubrick at his best.
I don't know about his best, but I think as far as like composing shots and doing things in that kind of way, if you're into that, sort of that style, very meticulous kind of thing, then it's his best at that. But I wouldn't say it's like his best film.
I've shown people that movie and they're like, "This is stupid. Like, I don't get it." I'm like, well, you just don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, it's got to be kind of like what you're looking for. I think a movie. I mean, he has a surprising range. I like Doctor Strangelove. That's one of my favorite of his. You haven't seen that?
No.
Watch it. I think it's on Netflix.
Okay, I don't have Netflix.
Oh, well, fuck, dude. I think I have it. You can borrow it because it's that important.
All right, I like it. I like that.
Yeah, because I mean, it's
big on
it's a comedy.
Orange.
It's a satire, and I think it's fucking hilarious. And on top of that, it deals with nuclear war. Like the gravity of it and the ridiculousness of it.
Right on.
It's shot well as well.
Yeah.
All the characters are interesting. I think it's Peter Sellers' like best work as an actor.
I'm not
you don't know
familiar
Peter Sellers?
with the actor, no.
You might be familiar if you saw it, and you'd be like, "Oh, that guy."
Okay. But yeah, I used to be a big fan of Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
That was a good movie too. The iconic scene with the clamps holding his eyes open.
Yeah,
it just annoys me.
No, there's a lot of good stuff like that in it.
There's also Inception.
Inception. That was the Leo DiCaprio one where they have like
the dream within the dream.
Yeah, I saw that movie. I think I saw it after everybody had already seen it and was like gushing about it, and it didn't do much for me.
I watched it.
I think it was one of those ones where like it had a couple of slip ups like that I took to heart and was just like, well, what the fuck, it bugged me in that way. Isn't or maybe I'm thinking of a different one. Isn't that the one where there's like G-Men in it and like Roger Sterling from what's his name? I don't know the actor's name, but
I think you're thinking about some other movie.
That came. Okay, no, I am thinking of a different one that came out about the same time and it had a similar kind of theme or something, or maybe it was. I don't know. I'm all confused, but I do remember getting like kind of annoyed with Inception.
Yeah. Contact. I liked Contact. Even though Jodie Foster kind of annoys me.
She doesn't bother me, but I didn't. Isn't like Bill Paxton in that?
I think Matthew McConaughey is in it too.
McConaughey. I love McConaughey. I remember seeing Contact and just kind of being like bummed because like it all basically comes down to the end where
I'm like, so her dad's an alien,
right? Well,
what
and
the
then
fuck is going on?
It's like it's just super lame because it's so much build up, and then the thing drops through, and then they're like, oh, nothing happened, but she had this experience, and she's trying to tell people, and then they're like, oh, but her headset recorded like 12 hours of static or whatever. I don't know. It ended so lamely. In my mind that I was.
But it's still interesting. 1984. The book and the movie.
I never saw the movie.
Yeah.
I read the book way back. We were required to read it, which is good. But yeah. Good book.
No, dude. So for some reason, I think that these science fiction themes are always a little bit more captivating than most.
Well, yeah, because I think the role of
provocative.
Science, well, the role of science fiction is to basically amplify, in my mind, it's to amplify issues that we have today and wonder what if it gets taken to this extreme, or how will this be in the future, or what happens if this it's to imagine on. Exactly. I think the best science fiction has its roots in issues that are dealing, like things like for instance, like the world is out of resources. There's too many people, and there's this and that. Like that is a common thing these days because global warming. We're destroying the planet. We know that resources are finite, and we have to deal with these problems, or that, or like there's a fear that, there'll be an unstoppable mass of humanity coming to take I mean, part of the reason why like zombie stuff I think is so big now, and I've read articles that kind of talked about this, is like the fear of zombies is like the fear of just people essentially, like have the like in the past, you were afraid of like a Frankenstein, like an authoritarian, like a big powerful person who could do what they want essentially, but their goals were either mysterious or just kind of misaligned with society for whatever reason. So you had to fear that. Well, now we kind of have a fear of like everybody, because there's just so many people in the world. There's only so much to go around. And what happens when everybody, basically is turning against you for survival?
Yeah.
So there's kind of like science fiction always kind of mirrors the issues of our day.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Like, in order for, I think science fiction, either being in novels, movies, or whatever, is a direct reflection to how much we're progressing as a society. Why is it that there's so many, like outer space movies, and because they were coming out during the 60s, they're coming out during the space race.
Sure.
Even Star Wars, you could say that it's a byproduct of the space race.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even with like overpopulation, or with like a lot of wars that are going on, you could kind of even link it to, say Aeon Flux, which has some really great architecture.
I never saw it.
You should. It's on Netflix.
It is on Netflix. I'll watch it.
That's a really great movie. Charlie's there, and it's beautiful.
Is it Charlie's or is it Charlie's?
It's probably that one.
I don't know.
Charlie's.
I've heard it said both ways, and I've never. I don't know.
It's pronounced sexy white woman
Shout.
with big old booty or something. So yeah, I think that the more that we're progressing technologically, the more science fiction movies we'll see, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think you might be right on that, but I think that at the moment, I think a lot of times the science fiction deals with like catastrophe, like what the next big catastrophe or thing might be. I think in general, people are kind of less interested with space. And like every space movie I feel like that comes out nowadays is about a disaster, because people are into disasters now.
Well, like Elysium.
I didn't see that.
WALL-E.
I saw that.
You watch WALL-E?
Yeah.
That's a good one.
There's Gravity.
I didn't see that one.
Oh, okay. So I can sum it up in a couple seconds. Basically,
is it really gravity or is it inertia?
It should have been inertia, but people don't know what that word means. Like if you were to pull, if you had a theater,
inertia is a byproduct.
Right? But if you had like a theater of people and you were like, "This is Inertia, the movie," they'd be like, "What?" There'd be probably 10% of the people in the audience who knew what the word meant, and then probably a 2% that really fully grasped that. I don't know.
So did you really grasp the gravity of the movie?
Well, I mean, the whole movie is essentially people in space, and there's an unstoppable, unrelenting force coming to get them, and you're isolated. It's inevitable.
So is it like Final Destination, but in space?
I mean, the whole idea that it's like there's inevitable doom coming, and there's
but not like a meteor or anything, right?
No. Well, so I think it starts off with no. So essentially, there's debris in space. I think the plot device is, of course, people being afraid of China. China shoots a missile at like an anti-satellite missile, and this is like loosely based on stuff that actually is an issue, where like if we start developing anti-satellite rockets, which America has for sure and other countries have, you shoot these satellites and blow them up, and essentially it sends shrapnel speeding around essentially endlessly.
Well, there's
there's
already a bunch of debris.
Exactly. Like our space is already so full of shit and shrapnel from launching stuff that essentially this just adds so much more and compounds the problem. And then of course that shrapnel hits other satellites and other shit and then knocks that shit out of orbit, and then
Chain reaction.
it creates a chain reaction. Well, and that's basically what happens in the movie is they hit a thing. They're flying around in the beginning and they're repairing a satellite or whatever. It's like a Hubble looking thing. They get a message from ground control saying, oh, there's some
Major
debris.
Tom.
Yeah, there's some debris coming. You should be fine. And then at the last second, they're like, oh shit, you're not going to be fine. It's coming right for you. And they're like, oh my God. And then it's like, and basically they get decimated. Their ship is broken. Everything's broken.
Dude, does George Clooney die?
Eventually. At first he doesn't. George Clooney, he's got a jetpack and he's being a douchebag and he's just flying around with his little jetpack thing. And what's her face?
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock. She's like a specialist to fix the thing, but she's not an astronaut. And they have to get to an escape pod at the space station. So they, because the space shuttle that they're on gets basically knocked out of commission.
Shitty.
They have to, everybody else gets killed except them. They're going to the other place. Turns out they can't get out. I forget exactly why, but it's damage to the meteor, or not the meteor, but the
debris.
The debris comes around again, fucks up the space station even more. Oh yeah, and the space station's already kind of fucked up when they get to it because of the debris and all that. So that's why nothing works. And then they're like, oh, we got to get to the Chinese space station. So, and at this point, they're getting there. I can't remember if getting to that space station or the one before Clooney dies. I don't know. But Clooney dies, and she has to make it the rest of her way on her own. And she has to get into, like, a Russian spaceship and, like, make it work. And she doesn't really know how, but
Wait,
then,
does Sandra Bullock, like, survive?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Eventually she takes,
Fuck
like,
that shit.
she takes, like, a Russian-made Chinese language escape pod back to Earth and survives.
Bullshit.
Just in the nick of time, of course, before the debris comes around and destroys the Chinese space station and all that.
And before she runs out of oxygen.
Yeah. There's a whole point.
Her poop
There's
bag
a
is
whole
full.
point where she was gonna like give up and blah blah blah. I mean, she looked really good in the movie, but especially for her age. But the
bless her heart then.
Right. So I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like this inevitable doom
Debris
sort of thing, and trying to escape, and being alone and lost in space. I mean, how many? 2001 did it better, where you're like isolated and whatever. I don't know. So yeah.
Oh, well,
I could have summed it up a lot faster.
Thanks for saving me the hour and a half.
Yeah, I mean it was. I don't know. Like I would give it neither a positive nor negative review.
What do you scale to 1 to 10?
I mean, well, it kind of
didn't it get like good reviews?
Oh yeah, like people loved it and whatever. I don't know. I would say I would give it. It's hard to say because like with the scale, if a scale was 0 being absolutely awful, 10 being the best,
all right,
and 5 just being like
10 being Star
neutral.
Wars, 1 or 0 being a black screen for an hour and a half. Where did you put it?
I mean, I'd just give it a 5. It was like neither good nor bad. It was just kind of like, yeah. Okay. Like, I mean, it was fairly well executed. Clooney's character was endearing yet kind of annoying. Like, he played kind of like a weird like space bumpkin. I think they were trying to make him like a Chuck Yeager type guy, where he's like a space cowboy kind of like, yeah. I don't know what they were going at that, but he wasn't believable to me as like an astronaut in the modern age. I don't know. And her just kind of being like a
whiny.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't really that whiny, but you could tell that they were trying to make her seem weak and then like overcome, adversity and never give up kind of thing. I mean, everything like it was well executed, but it was just kind of like not
groundbreaking.
Yeah, like there was nothing about it that I felt was like
space breaking.
Yeah, there and I mean, as far as plot goes, it was like
What about the physics?
It was
were
very
were the
one-dimensional.
physics believable?
I mean,
they were, acting out in space.
I mean,
Were the
I don't necessarily know how to do calculations for whatever and all
but you're
that.
intuitive.
But
and
I
you're
would
able to.
but I would say that if you blew up a rock, or you blew up a satellite and that caused like a chain reaction of debris, I really just don't see it traveling in like one direction around the planet in like basically like a tight kind of grouping. Like it was like just a bunch of missiles like flying through. Like I get that they're going fast and you're in space, there's nothing to slow them down, and somehow they managed to become like in orbit, so they're just ripping through everything in that plane. Well, that makes sense to a degree, but the thing is like if you blew up a thing, it would be going in all directions, and you probably wouldn't have like massive chunks of it all flying one direction. Things hit each other and they just go every direction.
Impulse momentum.
So like if it had just been like shit just flying every which way, it would be too chaotic and you wouldn't have the tension that they needed as a plot device. Because it was like, oh no, the timer on my watch, it says that it's coming around again, and then she looks, and then, oh gosh, I can see it coming. In reality, I would think it would be like tiny little specks, and bolt-sized pieces of shit that are flying at hundreds of miles an hour that just rip through the skin. Yeah, oh, absolutely. But they had to make it visual, they had to make it predictable and relentless. Otherwise, it would just be like random. So it'd be like, how suspenseful would a movie be where it's a bunch of people like out in a field or I don't know, just going around, and every now and then just one of them just dies.
Yeah.
For no reason, inexplicably, like a thing just takes them out. There's no tension in that because it's just completely random. It just happens, and that's I think what it would have been. So I mean, it's kind of one of those plot devices that for the whole movie to work, I was just like, yeah, just
the main antagonist is
debris.
Trash.
Yeah. Well, in my mind, though, the main antagonist is China because they're shooting rockets at stuff, and they're being irresponsible with their newly earned technology. And I really think
it's more like North Korea.
Or maybe it was North Korea that shot the rocket. I don't remember.
Okay.
But it was some Asian entity that America should fear or has been taught to fear, or has like, they're the new Russians. Like everything in the 80s and stuff was the Russians are doing this and they're doing this. So why? So they took the place of them. It's either China or North Korea or whatever. Maybe it was North Korea now that you said it. I don't really remember because it was just kind of stupid. It was just kind of like,
sounds like
why are we, like it's basically like for the sake of villainizing someone, just villainizing them, just, as if like, oh yeah, they can do all these calculations and figure out how to shoot down a satellite, but they can't, they haven't read the white paper on,
debris.
The theories and all the models for, So
speaking of,
they don't give a fuck. They just can, and they're not caring about it.
They obviously don't care about their air pollution or air quality.
Well, I mean, and I mean to a degree, I mean that's how we see it, and it's but then when you assign like a state to it and stop saying and thinking like, I mean, we're doing the exact same shit, so for us to be like judging them and all that, we really have to kind of look at ourselves and be like, we're doing the exact same thing. It might not be to the degree that they are, but at the same time, we at least have some semblance of, governmental regulation, whereas they're just like, kind of, they're new to this.
Yeah. Speaking of shit orbiting planets, satellite. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Saturn is developing a new moon from its rings, which I think is
like
quite
recently, or it has been
within the past couple of years. It has these really large and very defined rings,
right?
And it's composed of giant ice crystals and balls of debris and
human balls,
human genitalia. Yes, Saturn is making a new moon, and these particles start building up, and then they start making its own gravity.
Right.
And starts attracting
other particles. The more mass it has, the more it'll attract quickly.
Exactly. And I think it's quite fascinating and beautiful. I've been watching a lot of Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson, getting my learn on.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
What did they name it?
They haven't named it yet. It's still kind of it's still in the formation phase. And it'll probably take, a couple of thousand years or whatever for it to turn into a moon.
It doesn't mean that we can't name it now.
Yeah. We'll name it the Prior.
I'd rather have it named something like...
Something Roman?
No.
The Putin?
That's played out.
The Putin?
I think...
The Obama? So that every time something happens, we're like, thanks, Obama, moon.
Yeah, I don't know what to name it. If I was in charge of naming a planet, I think I would just get real drunk and come up with something.
It's better than Uranus.
Or maybe I'd name it like Uranus 2.
Minus.
So just people are like,
Yeah, I see what you did there. Predictable.
Yeah.
Anywho.
Uranus.
The anus.
Just Uranus. So it sounds
horrendous?
almost, huh?
Like horrendous?
Yeah, I mean it sounds almost Roman.
All right.
But just Uranus.
So we could call it the Mark Antony. No?
Just trying to name it after yourself.
Yeah, I have a big ego. Anywho, let's I have another song, Digital Underground.
Velvet Underground
No.
or Digital Underground?
Digital Underground.
You have it ready to go?
No, I don't have it ready to go.
Well, talk about something.
Digital Underground. It's that hip hop shit.
Is there any specific song?
Yeah, it's a raunchy one.
Does it have a name?
Digital Underground. Are you getting any results?
Yeah, but there's...
Freaks of the Industry, I think.
10 minutes long, Jesus Christ.
Is it really? Oh, dude, you know what song I've been singing a lot? You put your hand up on my hip. When I dip, you dip, we dip.
Yeah. Is this it?
No,
This is the one you're looking... This isn't the one?
I'm on a fucking hip-hop phase right now. I don't know.
Yeah, I like hip-hop. I also like it when I have a faster internet connection. Is this the joint?
Lick for lick, so give me the helmet, I'll be the stunt man. Just relax, and I won't front like Anita. I'm giving you the best that I got, and I'll be taking it slow. Never missing a...
Meh.
Meh.
It's just kind of like, that beat, I don't know, how old is this?
It's pretty old.
Yeah, it's just, that beat's played out.
Yeah.
Just like this episode. I think
it's time to wrap it up.
I think it's time to wrap it up.
Podcast.
So goodbye, everybody.
Toodles.
Goodbye.
You're beautiful.
What the fuck?
Treat each other well, alright? I love the PSA that we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like we were saying, I was talking earlier to you about, following the Dalai Lama.
Yeah. Oh, totes.
Just a little, something
to
nice.
leave the world better.
Yeah.
What was the Dalai Lama quote of the day? Like,
I don't know.
Practice patience.
Being cool. Be excellent to each other.
Be
I think
excellent.
that's what he said.
Yeah.
That sounds
Be
familiar.
excellent, all right?
Be excellent to each other.
And, you know what? Make stuff up when you're talking with people. Because that means
just don't be so uptight. Like, just enjoy your life. Enjoy the world. Be imaginative. Wonder, and share it with other people.
What if?
Just share it.
And think about some science fiction.
Sure.